Hey there and welcome back to Utility Sports Plus. In today's video, we are covering an NFL mock draft. This is pretty exciting to me. It's been quite a while since we've done one, and let's just jump right into the action. But before we do that, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more NFL mock drafts. So with the first overall pick here, we have the Chicago Bears via Carolina. And to me, I think it's becoming pretty obvious that the Chicago Bears are gaining momentum. They're gaining confidence. Now, this is going to be a tricky situation for them to sort out. What are they going to do with Justin Fields? I think that it's very possible that they restart the clock, they trade Justin Fields, and they select a quarterback first overall. To me, that is going to be Caleb Williams. Despite a lot of people being much lower on him at this point, I think that it is a very realistic outcome that he is selected still first overall in the draft. So with that being said, Chicago has their quarterback. They have their pathway. They have exactly what plans they want to put in place. Then steps New England. New England is one of the tougher cases that we have here, in my opinion. And the reason I say that is because, they have to decide, do they want a playmaker on the perimeter? Do they want a quarterback? I think it's going to be pretty obvious that they opt to actually go with a quarterback here. To me, Mac Jones is not the answer. Bailey Zappi is not the answer. But Drake May certainly could be that. He has a phenomenal frame, a good arm, nice pocket presence. This guy can be a stud at the next level. And to me, I think them going with Drake May would not be a mistake in any capacity. So he is our quarterback here at number 2 overall. Number 3, we have Arizona. When you consider Arizona and some of the big needs that they have, I think wide receiver is the most obvious one that comes to my mind. And to me, there's not a better one that we've had in college football in quite some time than Marvin Harrison Jr. The explosiveness, the ability to break in and out of routes, contested catches, he does it all from a receiver position, a technique standpoint, a physical specimen. He is everything encompassed into one player. To me, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the pick here at number 3 overall. Following that up is number 4. And when you look at Washington, there's a lot of different things that this team needs. I think when you look along that offensive line, it makes sense. The tight end position stands out mightily, in my opinion. I think, to me, there should be a high priority on that tackle position. Olu Fashanu from Penn State is a big name that jumps out. Joe Alt from Notre Dame. To me, I really do think that it has to be Olu Fashanu. Phenomenal in that pass game. He's a bruiser in the run game. Olu is the perfect tackle to step right into Washington and be an impactful player and a potential Pro Bowler in the future. Number 5, we have New York, and New York is also faced with a lot of big-time decisions on, the route that they want to go. I think it's pretty tough to, gauge exactly where they're at here at that position. But I'm actually going to make a bold proclamation here. I think that they're actually going to be looking at that quarterback position. I firmly believe that that is in the mix here. Bo Nix goes as high as number 5. The stud quarterback from Oregon, Heisman runner-up. He is in that 5th spot. People might be saying, why not Jaden Daniels here? I just think that the New York Giants are going to fall in love with Bo Nix in that pre-draft process. He had a ton of experience at the collegiate level, therefore leading to some phenomenal production under Dan Lanning there and the Ducks. But to me, I think New York is going to opt for a quarterback. At number 6, the Tennessee Titans, the needs are clear to me. I think the wide receiver position is a must-have for them. Obviously with Treylon Burks a couple years ago, I think they're going to stick to that same realm here, take another wide out. Malik Neighbors from LSU is a tremendous playmaker. If you guys have remembered, when I first started doing those mocks at the beginning of the year, I was putting him for sure in my first round. He is so talented. A lot of people had him as a 2nd or 3rd round grade. I kept him as a 1st round grade, and that paid off here in the end. He is our 6th overall selection. Number 7, we have the Chicago Bears. And I think when you consider the Chicago Bears, there's a couple of different needs that they have. And to me, I understand the idea of, potentially going with a wide receiver at this position. I don't know if that's entirely necessary at this point. I think getting a Pro Bowl level tight end off rip probably makes the most sense. Phenomenal pass catcher, huge catch radius, athletic. This guy can do it all at the position. Brock Bowers is actually my pick here for Chicago at 7. I understand that they have Cole Kmet, but I think you can utilize Brock Bowers a ton in the slot. You can utilize both of those tight ends and play gritty football. You can spread it out as well in that offense. Brock Bowers at number 7. Number 8, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think when you consider the Raiders and exactly the route that they need to go, there's going to be a lot of question marks on what those next steps are going to be. I think when you consider what they currently have on roster, to me, Joe Alt is another terrific player that they can add to this group. Joe Alt is going to once again be one of those guys that is super impactful. Week number 1, he is going to be super polished in terms of what he is as an on-field product. And at number 8, that makes all the sense in the world. Number 9, we have the New York Jets. And I think when you consider the New York Jets, I think they're going to be true players at the quarterback position. I firmly believe that. Very well could be Rodgers last season, next year. So to me, Jaden Daniels makes all the sense in the world. The Heisman Trophy winner. He improved so much as a passer. His downfield throwing was the biggest beneficiary of this past season. Obviously having Thomas and Neighbors as 2 elite wide receivers at the collegiate level helps, but you have to consider his progression as a passer and what he's done so far. At LSU has propelled him into that top 10 realm, in my opinion. At number 10, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Los Angeles Chargers, to me, could be looking in a multitude of directions. I think that they probably need the most help on that interior of that defensive line. Jerzon Newton is my pick here. They have to get better at stopping the run, and what better guy to do it with than Jerzon Newton, who is an absolute force in the middle of a defense, clogs up running lanes, can put pressure on the quarterback from that interior spot, and to me, number 10 makes sense. Number 11, we have the Atlanta Falcons. And when you look at the Atlanta Falcons, I think that the quarterback position is a high priority. I absolutely believe that 100%. To me, Michael Penix Jr. is that pick. Once again, Heisman runner-up. He developed so much as a passer at Washington. He had a ton of different weapons to go to. But to me, I think that is a beautiful fit into that offense. He's going to have some weapons to go to. He's got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and hopefully they can unlock Kyle Pitts. Number 12, we have New Orleans. And I think when you look at New Orleans as a whole, this is an interesting team. They just need to get a little bit better in terms of playmaking. They need to get better up front. Offensively, Talise Fuaga, to me, makes probably the most sense. I think at that tackle position, you can kick him inside to guard. This New Orleans team needs some help on that offensive line. They need to free up some running lanes. There's some big questions to be had at that quarterback position, but I think how the draft fell to us, taking Fuaga probably makes the most sense. At number 13, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, once again, I think can be major players in a couple of different areas, specifically on that offensive line. I think that it should be one of the bigger priorities for them. J.C. Latham from Alabama is going to be my selection. A guy that has so much versatility to play that tackle spot, the guard spot. They prioritize that offensive line. I think that's going to continue here. They have had a little bit more of a shift philosophically in terms of how they build their team, and Latham could be a phenomenal addition. Another team that was probably wishing that they had that previous pick was the LA Rams. Now, the LA Rams, there's a couple of different areas that we have to consider. Laiatu Latu is that guy for them. I think from what he brings from a pass rushing perspective, his instincts on the football field, being involved in the run game, he is as complete as they come for the most part at that edge position. I think he's going to get a lot of love in that pre-draft process, and I think he can definitely help his case. Number 14, that's an absolute steal for the Rams. Now you have the Arizona Cardinals here. A couple of different options for them considering what they have on the board. I look up and down it. I think they could be huge beneficiaries of a guy like Jared Verse. Really good, strong lower body, can move tackles and guards with ease. This guy just needs to get a little bit more technically sound. I think there's going to be some people that are a little bit more gun shy, from like Tyree Wilson. I think that this is a real possibility for Arizona. Getting better up front, rushing the quarterback, that's something that they have to prioritize. 16, we have the Denver Broncos. Denver is in a situation where they have to figure out what their true identity is. I think defensively they could be looking for some edge rushing help as well. I'm going to go with Braylon Trice here from Washington. Has proven himself time and time again. He is one of the top defensive players in the class and continues to elevate his draft stock. I think working that into Denver's defense, who has actually quietly found their way here in the last couple of weeks, the work's not done in my opinion on that side of the ball. Offensively, I think they're fine. I just think they have to make some adjustments defensively and maybe get another playmaker on offense. But for the most part, I love them going with guys like Braylon Trice. Number 17, we have the Buffalo Bills. Now, I look across the board, and there's a lot of different things that I think that they could utilize here. Rome Odunze from Washington has been lights out. You look at his development with Michael Penix, and I had talked about him as well throughout the duration of the draft process, watching a lot of the Washington film. This guy is legit. He is a legit NFL prospect, high points to football, makes defenders pay on double moves. This is a phenomenal prospect to watch, and I think Buffalo could be a huge beneficiary of another wide receiver and a big play guy. Following that up, I have Cincinnati. Looking at Cincinnati, a couple of different areas of concern for me. Offensive line continues to ring. Amarius Mims, I'm going to just plug and play on that offensive line. I think it is a must. This has been echoing since Joe Burrow's debut with the team, basically, that they need offensive line help, and Mims is going to do a phenomenal job at that. He's a humongous human being, a true people mover, and a wonderful fit into this Bengals offense. 19, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay is in a position here where I think that they can do a lot of different things. Now, the question is, with their current position, are they really going to look quarterback? To me, I think it's a real possibility. I think that they actually go with J.J. McCarthy. I think there's going to be some teams that fall in love with McCarthy during this draft process here, and I think he's going to, potentially be in that 19th round or around that 19th overall pick, potentially low 20s. But to me, McCarthy is a good fit for Tampa Bay. They've realized quickly that Baker's not the answer. Kyle Trask is not going to be the answer, so they're going to have to make some adjustments here on the fly. 20 is Green Bay. Green Bay is in a position here where they have a lot of different playmakers on the back end that they could get. They could add another one on the perimeter. They could get some interior help as well. A lot of those guys could make some sense for them as well. But I think when you look on that back end, there's not a better fit for them in that first round than Tyler Nubin from Minnesota going to the Packers. Now, I think a lot of people that are from Wisconsin are familiar with Tyler Nubin to some degree. He's a phenomenal ball hawking safety for the Golden Gophers. He was everywhere on defense this year, making those big plays in key situations. He's going to be a great fit for this Green Bay Packers defense, and he is going to cause some serious havoc in that division. 21, we have Indianapolis. Indianapolis, once again, is in a position here where I think they could get some phenomenal value at pick 21. Kool-Aid McKinstry is actually going to be my pick. Getting an elite defensive player here at 21 makes a lot of sense, especially in that secondary. I think that the Indianapolis Colts are in a great position to do so. And to be honest, in that division with C.J. Stroud and Trevor Lawrence, you need great cornerback play, and that's exactly what you're going to get out of Kool-Aid. Number 22, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, a lot of fans are going to be echoing the idea of going with a quarterback. Now, with all things considered, I don't know if that's the route that they go. I don't know. At that spot, if the board falls how it does, I don't know if that's the case. I think there's some real conversations to be had about some of these other positions that might be a, quote, bigger priority for them. I think that secondary is potentially in need, but for the most part, I think, Chop Robinson is probably going to be the selection here. Now, a lot of people are going to say, hold on, they have Wanham and Hunter. Why would they need to go get a guy like Chop Robinson? Well, at this stage in the game, guys, I think Danielle Hunter is going to be on a different team next year. I don't know if they're going to be able to afford him. I truly believe that with the extensions of Hawkinson and Jefferson now looming, I think that's where a lot of that allocated money is going to have to go to, so they're going to have to cut some corners elsewhere. Chop Robinson's my pick here for Minnesota. A lot of people are going to have some questions why that was not Quinn Ewers, but to me, I think that's the route that Minnesota goes if they fall to 22 on their actual draft night. Now, 23, we have Pittsburgh, which they got to be better up front. Graham Barton is the pick. I'm not even looking at anything else. This offensive line has to be better. They gotta be able to move the football more effectively. I think that starts up front. Some people are going to have some question marks about Kenny Pickett moving into next year, but with how the draft board fell, Graham Barton is a tremendous selection at that tackle spot. I think they made huge strides forward last year with their draft in terms of addressing that offensive line, but there is more work to be done. Houston is in a position here that we have to consider. Defensively, I think that they could look to make some adjustments here. I love what Houston's been able to do so far, but I think that defensively it makes sense. Wide receiver could make some sense. Keon Coleman, to me, probably makes the most sense for them. Now, you're going to have some people asking, why would you go with a guy like Keon Coleman? They already have Nico Collins and Tank Dell. I think adding one more element of a guy that can take the top off the defense can help. I think if you pair those three wide receivers all together, that is going to be a very dangerous wide receiver room, and Houston could be looking great next year. Following that up is Kansas City. A lot of question marks at the receiver position, a ton of them. So if we go ahead and take a look at what's currently on the board here, I know a lot of people love, Xavier Worthy from Texas, but to me, Emeka Egbuka is probably the pick here. Kansas City has to be more explosive on the perimeter, and that is the route that they go. I think when you consider Jacksonville, interior offensive line is probably the first thing that comes to my mind. It absolutely is. I think when you consider everything that is currently available, that corner position too could make some sense for Jacksonville and where they currently sit. It's kind of a toss-up for me trying to make that decision. Nate Wiggins has been a proven commodity. That secondary needs some help. I'm going to go ahead and make that selection here. Already having Tyson Campbell and Darius Williams really good at that corner spot. I do have some questions outside of that. Seeing some of the guys that they've had in rotation in the corner room has not been inspiring. Andre Sisco in the secondary has been great. Rayshawn Jenkins is probably going to be there for another season unless they decide to make him a cap casualty. But to me, Nate Wiggins at 26 is a good find. 27, we have Detroit. I think that interior defensive line is in serious need of help still. They've done a great job building this team through the draft. Leonard Taylor III is my pick. I love that for them. I think that makes a ton of sense for the Detroit Lions, a team that needs to be able to stop the run more effectively, especially when it comes to postseason time, and that is my pick. Now, 28, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles, again, are in a position where they could use some help in that secondary as well. I think with an aging secondary, that could be an opportunity for them. That linebacker spot, is another priority. The receiver position, I just don't know if that is first-round worthy in terms of moving the needle in that. I'm going to go with Cooper DeJean here from Iowa, standout guy. He is super instinctual, breaks on the ball. When you talk about a guy that's a really, really good sticky man-to-man player on the back end, that's going to be Cooper DeJean. 29, we have the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco, I think they're going to be looking to that secondary. Kalen King had been a hot name to start the year. People have cooled off on him, but I think he can make plays, he can generate turnovers, and I think that's exactly what San Francisco is going to prioritize when they're in the draft here. And then finally, we have the Baltimore Ravens get back up on the board. To me, this team is not done building that front seven. I don't think so. I know some people are going to say They're probably going to look at that receiver spot. To me, I think Dallas Turner is exactly what they're going to do, one of those best available guys, and they will stick with him. Dallas now at 31. Dallas is a little bit tougher to gauge exactly where they're sitting at and how they feel about this team moving forward. Now I'm kind of looking at that running back spot here, Jonathan Brooks, Blake Corum. I don't know that they would take him in that first round. I actually do have my doubts about that. Linebacking position, I'm not exactly sure how Dallas is feeling. I think a guy that could make some sense still, though, that receiving room, they like what they have. So I'm not so sure that'd be quick to jump on that. I think Amari Lassiter probably makes the most sense from Georgia. A tremendous corner. He had been he has shown his traits on film. He has shown his ability once again to cover the best guy on an opposing team. And to me, that could make some sense for Dallas. And then finally, to conclude here, we have the Miami Dolphins. Miami offensive line could be a look here. I could look at the tight end position like, they suggest here. I think Jordan Morgan could make some sense along that offensive line, provide some versatility. And I'm going to go with Jordan Morgan here to conclude that first round. And let's go ahead, take a look at some of those results, grading the draft, and once again, we're going to hit the X on that. Well, overall, this was the entire mock draft here. I had a lot of fun recording this video, so if you are new to the channel, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. I'm going to be producing more and more NFL mock draft content. I appreciate you, tuning in, and we will catch you in the very next Utility Sports Plus video.